What's up, everyone? It is Sean Evans here with the Odd Shopper, and we are bringing you another CSGO video for the IEM Rio Major event, which kicks off tomorrow on Monday. We have 8 great series, but we are going to cut that down in half to about 4 of the series that are more favorable for ourselves as the users. So we are going to break down the sides that we do like and see which plays to go after. And before we do dive into that, make sure you click the like and subscribe button, turn your notifications on. That way you get notified every single time when we do post new content for you, as every single sport is going on, and you do not want to miss out on any of that. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Kicking off the morning for us on Monday is going to be MOUZ versus Outsiders at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Outsiders come in as the favorites at 125, while MOUZ will be the dogs at plus 103. Now, these two teams have met twice so far this year, and overall, Outsiders did take the most recent best of 3 series 2-1 versus them, but MOUZ did take the best of 1 series at the PGL Major play-ins too. So it is a familiar matchup for both of them, and while both are going to be getting back into things, Outsiders have been playing at a much higher level. Things have been clicking more for them, so we have seen a much more rounded team. But MOUZ seems to never fail. They have been playing pretty solid CS. They do still make some minor mistakes, but things like that are going to be okay when it does come to facing Outsiders, as both teams don't have the best consistency so far in 2022. With Outsiders, they always seem to either be pretty much ahead and then give up and go deep into the maps, or they'll be pretty far down, like 12-2, and somehow push it almost to the full 30 rounds for the map. With that, looking back at both of these series which they have played so far between each other, they have gone for 28 rounds or more in the 4 maps total that they have played. So looking at that, when you look at something like the total rounds for map 1 over 27.5 rounds played is at plus 110 odds, while you do have the under of 27.5 at the favorite odds of 133. So with the history that we've seen so far between the two teams this year in those 4 maps, the over 27.5 rounds played does look like the route for us to go. And that's most likely what I'll be leaning on for this. And so that would be about 1 unit most likely over at Pinnacle when playing that line. And on top of that, if you don't fully trust a team like the Outsiders with Jane, with Flint, then looking at the money line for MOUZ is one to also look at, as it is plus odds at 103. But overall, the main one that I do want to play is going to be over 27.5 rounds played. And before we do dive into the next series, let's just look at head-to-head between the two teams, player comparison over at HLTV, which will show you where these two teams stand at. Obviously, for MOUZ, it's all about Frozen, who has put up a 1.24 player rating in the past 3 months. Then you have Xertion at 1.06, JDC at 1.04, Torzy at 1.04, and then Dexter at 1.02. And as you can see at the bottom there, with them playing on land last time versus Outsiders, that's where they did drop 2-1 in that best of 3 series. And then you look over at Outsiders, Flit leads the way at 1.15, Jame right behind at 1.11, Fame at 1.11 also. Then you have Quicker at 1.02 and Norbert at 1.0. Overall, these two teams do compare pretty well side by side, and so it is going to be a great map between the two on the Challenger stage for the best of 1 series. I just see it getting dragged out to basically all 30 rounds with one of these teams winning 16-14, and so that's why I do like the over of 27.5 rounds played. And before we do dive into the second series that we want to target, if you have yet to sign up at Prize Picks, make sure to click the link down below. That way you double your first deposit up to $100, and that is free house money to play. Obviously, we have the IEM Rio Major kicking off for CSGO, so there's going to be a lot of action to look forward to over there at Prize Picks. But we also have NFL, NBA, NHL seasons going, with the MLB World Series going right now, and then also college football. The action just being nonstop in November, so you do not want to miss out on that. So if you have yet to sign up at Prize Picks, make sure to click that link down below to double your first deposit. And now moving on to the second series that we do want to target, it is going to be the Bad News Eagles versus Double Nation, which will be around 8:15 a.m. Pacific time. Depending on how the other early morning series do go, this time could change for them. Overall, it will be around 8 a.m. Pacific time. Bad News Eagles, obviously, this looks like a dead tie series for Vegas odds makers. You have Bad News Eagles at 109, Double Nation at 111, with the handicap of map 1 for plus 2.5 rounds for Bad News Eagles at 155, and then for Double Nation to win overall with about 3 rounds or more is at plus 127 odds. And you have over 26.5 total rounds played in map 1 at the favorite odds of 130, and then under 26.5, basically complete domination by one of these teams at plus 107. Now, this will be the first time these two teams meet, and it is going to be a pretty good series. Bad News Eagles went 2-3 in the past week preparing for this major. Some say that they just weren't competing overall and that they were just waiting for this major to kick off. But they did go 2-3 in the last 5 series that they did play in the past week. And you have Double Nation, who split their 2 series they played in the past week, going 1-1. They did get swept, while they did have a victory by sweep also in the past week. So it is going to be a little bit tricky. These teams, all they have is past demos to look at. There's going to be some unknowns of what or who is going to do what and what map selection may come up for them. So it is going to be very good series overall. I think it's going to be exciting, but I don't think it's going to be a very close series between the two teams, even though they are identical on paper. We can go and look at the player comparison once again at HLTV. Obviously, you have Double Nation with Try at plus 115, Lado at plus 1.12, Duma at 1.09, Cold Zero at 1.03, and then Taco at the low 0.93. And then you look over at the Bad News Eagle side, you have Juan Flatro at 1.12, GSX at 1.09, Regon at 1.06, Synopsis at 1.06, and then Center at 1.01. So it is going to be a pretty close battle between the two teams. Taco may be the anchor in what holds his team back in a 1-map series. If this is a 3-map series, obviously Taco's performance overall could have a little bit of ups and downs between the 3 maps that they would probably play. But just in a 1-map series, his performance is going to either hold his team back, or if he just plays a very consistent 30-round map or close to it, he may be able to help his team survive and start the challenger stage off with a win. But there's going to be a lot that rides on him. For that, though, the duo of Try and Lato is a lot more dangerous than what the Bad News Eagles have played and have on their own team. With the struggles that they've had in the past week, if they've been trying, if they haven't been trying, Double Nation is most likely going to take this map, and I think it's going to be pretty easily. But I will be playing the money line of Double Nation at 111 odds, and that will be another unit played on that. I do think they win by 3 rounds or more. So I'll also be playing the handicap there at plus 127 with 1 unit also. Overall, Double Nation is going to be the better team out of this. Bad News Eagles, throughout the year, they've had too much inconsistency. They haven't really put up anything that well. And so I'm just going to avoid anything on their side for this series and just stick with the Double Nation side of their money line and of the handicap of winning by 3 rounds or more. Now going on to the third series that I do want to target. It is going to be Big versus FURIA. It's going to be a very good one, as these two teams do have history. You have FURIA coming in as the favorites at 186, and then you have Big as the dogs at pretty juicy plus 152. Handicap for Big to win or lose within 3 rounds or less is at the favorites of 124, while FURIA to win by 4 rounds or more is at plus 103. And then you have the total map played of rounds for 26.5 being the total. And for that, they do see it going a little bit under that. 104 favorites for 26.5 rounds under. And then over the 26.5 rounds is at 116. But like I said, these two teams do have history between each other. They have gone and played 11 maps total, with Big taking an overall 7-4. They did take the best of 3 series this year, 2-1, while FURIA obviously took the best of 1 earlier in the year. But overall, it's going to be a very good series to watch. Big will continue playing with Sin over Faven, who was out ill for the IEM Rio playing stage, and so they kept Sin in playing at Blast Premier event, even though that was just one series for them. And now he'll be here at the biggest major of the year, playing with a very talented team surrounding him with Sirison and Tapsin. And then overall, for the majority of the maps being played throughout those 11 maps, they have gone 26 rounds or more, which makes that. But overall, it is going to be a big map to take, and so I will be playing their money line of plus 152 at 1 unit. Also, I do think they come out and they take this not easily versus FURIA, but I do think they have the better performance, even with Sin stepping in. I think the chemistry is already going to be there since they have been training with him, and they seriously and Tapson have said multiple times that they do like what he has showcased so far, even if he hasn't been putting up the biggest numbers. And so that's where we'll go to the player comparison over HLTV. Obviously, Sin's 1.17 player rating 3-month average is more from playing on big academy team than playing against these tier 1 like teams. So that you do have to throw that out of the window. He was at a 0.94 for the playing stage of this major. And so he will be down there with Keto and Crumbo, who both hold 0.97 and a 0.95 player rating. But they have Tapson and Saracen, who both hold the highest ratings on the team. Tapson coming in at 1.15, and then Saracen coming in at 1.12. And then with FURIA, you do have Kisarado, who has been pretty stellar of a player so far this year. Throughout the entire year, he's been very consistent. He is at a 1.31 player rating, while Yuri is at 1.13. Then you have Art at 1.09, Safi at 1.08, and then Drop at 0.96. A lot for FURIA rides on Safi and his play. Drop, you can't expect anything from him. But if Safi does come out and he is clicking with his shots and everything that he's doing, then FURIA does have a chance of taking this, and they will push it probably 30 rounds deep, even with the chance of overtime coming. But I do like Big overall to take it. And so, like I said, that's why I'm taking their money line at plus 152 at 1 unit over at Pinnacle, and over 26.5 rounds. Another 1 unit play at Pinnacle also. And before we do get into the final series I want to target, if you have yet to sign up for the OddsShopper Premium Insider Discord access, make sure you do that by using promo code SE Insider. That way you gain access to all of my plays I do post in Discord, plus prize picks and fantasy or underdog fantasy slips. You don't want to miss out on that. And then we will be covering League of Legends, Dota 2, Call of Duty when that season does kick off. So you do not want to miss out on that or any of the other Premier Insider Discord access over at the OddsShopper website. So do not miss out on that, and make sure you do sign up for that. And now ending the day with Cloud9 versus Fnatic, which is most likely going to be a great series. Cloud9 obviously comes in at 147, but Fnatic is plus 121 dogs, and they have shown a lot of upside getting ready for this IEM Rio Major. You have a lot with Metsi, with Krems. They're just playing at a very good level right now together. So they most likely will push this Cloud9 team to the very end of the map. It's going to be very fun. Looking at the play-ins, you can see that Fnatic did go 3-2 with wins over 1 win, Eternal Fire and Aora. But then their bright spot, even though it was a loss, was that they were able to push FaZe to overtime. They did lose 19-17, but they were able to hang out on the map with FaZe, who is arguably the number 1 team in CSGO right now. And so it did show a lot of bright spot for them. And now coming into the Challenger stage, having to face Cloud9, it's going to be a true test for them, but it's one in which they most likely will be able to battle out for. Cloud9's only loss was to NIP at the playing stage. They did sweep 1 win. They defeated G2 16-13, and then defeated B8 16-8. If you look at the handicap for this, for Cloud9 to win by 3 rounds or more, it is at the odds of 107. For Fnatic to keep this under 2 rounds, lose or win, is at 113. And then over 26.5 rounds played is at 120. Under 26.5 rounds, basically a domination most likely by Cloud9, I don't think Fnatic would come out and dominate Cloud9, is at 101. So overall, what's the best ones to bet on here? To me, it's most likely going to be over 26.5 rounds played. While Cloud9 is the much better team, Fnatic is most likely going to come out, be able to play pretty aggressive and do things that Cloud9 isn't used to, or it takes a little bit longer for them to make adjustments throughout the map play. So I would play one unit over 26.5 rounds played on map 1 at the 120 odds over our Pinnacle. And just before we do end it, I just seen the player comparison between the two teams. Obviously, coming into the challenger stage, Exile leads the way at 1.22. He had a crazy play-in stage for Cloud9. He led the way. You have Shura at 1.17, Hobbit at 1.08, Interns at 1.02, Nafany down to a 0.94. Overall, you're most likely going to see Nafany and Interns at the bottom, but you'll most likely see Shura, Hobbit sharing the top spot for the leaderboard with Exile in between the two. And then looking at Fnatic, they have Roja at 1.14 player rating, Crims at 1.12, Metzi at 1.12, the addition of Fasher at 1.09, which is a reason why Fnatic's able to push maps out now on against some of these good teams, and then Nikodos at 1.09. So overall, it is going to be a great series between the two teams, but ultimately Cloud9 is going to win. But I do think we see over 26.5 rounds played between the two teams and a hard-fought map for them. So that is going to be it. And as always, make sure to click that like and subscribe button down below. Turn the notifications on. That's it. I'm out.